Hello, everyone, and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we try to find value when there's fear and to be cautious when there's greed. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the altcoins available on Robinhood. So, my channel is for the new low to medium risk investor, people just looking to dip their feet into investing, whether it be into stocks and cryptos. And we're going to talk about ways that you can use psychology to maximize your value when investing. I've done that. I'm certified, trained, have a lot of experience within the field of psychology. I've used that to invest, and it's helped me out a lot. And we're also going to be using some technical analysis as well. Remember, none of this is financial advice. It's just for education purposes only. So consult with a financial advisor and do not use anything that I say in these videos as to how you should spend your money. So let's get into it. We're going to just first start off by looking at Bitcoin. And Bitcoin got into extreme greed leading up into the ETF. And then since the ETF approval, it's sold off and it's been coming down to this 0.5 fib. And let me show you the fibs again. So here are the fibs. It's a little tool over here. Price tends to be attracted to these levels. We're going from the previous high to low. So it's been following this. It came back down. It fell to that 0.5 fib. I drew this trend line a while back around here. And funny enough, it's been coming back and bouncing off it. And most recently, instead of going right to the 0.5 fib, look what the price did. It bounced right off that trend line that I drew a while back. And it got a little bit of support right there as well. So I am interested to see if the price of Bitcoin continues to ride this trend line up. When it comes to trend lines, though, remember, they're only as good as long as they're good for. So we never know if it's going to break way above it or way down. As far as fear and greed, let's get this ad out of the way. We were in extreme greed leading up to the ETF. We were at 76. And since the sell from the ETF, look, we've gone down right to the middle between fear and greed. So that's really interesting how we were coiling. I was thinking the ETF would make it shoot up and then down. Instead, we've just come down. So here, yeah, there's all wonderful advertisements on the website I'm looking at here. So a week ago, we were in greed, extreme greed, and we're coming down. Are we going to get down even lower? Does look like we're coiling, coming down, but you can see back here, there are times you can go down to fear and then jump up. So that 30 level seems to be very important. If we take a look at max, fear and greed, it does appear that we spend more time in fear than we do greed. And obviously when we're in a nice bull run, we can be up there for a while. When we're accumulating, people call it a bear market, we're down here a bunch. So I am wondering if, like the mid-cycle top in 2019, if we had another mid-cycle top and it's coming down again. So rainbow chart, I'm only showing this to reflect how it's usually 4 years between the tops. This would be more in line with 4-year top. Though here, this was after all that stimulus money was printed after the COVID crash. So did we get an artificial early top back then? Some people have been debating whether the next bull run comes early in 2025, because that'd be 4 years from there, to late 2025. Maybe it'll be one or the other. You won't be able to reap the benefits of it unless you have skin in the game. And so that's where I talk about how time in the market's more important than time in the market. We're going to take a look at some ways that you can maximize your value. Altcoin chart. So when we had that mid-cycle top, this is where the altcoin chart was back here. So you notice over here, the base seems to be a little bit higher than back here. So I'm wondering if this is going to come down and we're just going to be hovering around this 20 to 30 range here. Shout out blockchaincenter.net. Let's get into looking at the altcoins. We're going to fly through some of these quick because some of these I already reviewed more in depth on the Coinbase video. That's going to come out before this one, so check out that one. Ethereum. I'd say that we're still, that we recently got bullish, but it looks like we're going to become bearish again. If you take a look at the last year, yes, it's climbing up on this trend line just from those bottoms. If Ethereum gets back down near those bottoms around high 1600s to 1800, that would be a juicy time to buy. Look at this. This would be April of this year, which is near the halving. And from this bottom to that top, where are we at? Mid-October, and we're in mid-January. So that's 3 months. 3 months from January is April. So that's the halving. Are we just forming a little peak like this, and we'll come back down to 1800? If it does, I'd say 1800 would be a juicy time to consider buying into Ethereum. Let's hop on over to Doge. So Doge, this is from the last year. We've just been chopping up and down, getting as high as 10, as low as around high 5s, 6. So we're kind of in the middle, around 750. If it gets below this, cool. Let's draw a fib from the high to the low here. Where are we at? Excuse me. We're at the 0.5. So yeah, right around the middle. What's going to happen around the 618 is important to me. So that's 0.07, like 7.4 cents here. If it bounces off there, then it's still bullish. If it gets below that, you can look for good opportunities to buy as it gets around 6.5. And also look at the RSI. It's still coming down to the oversold. I like when things are double tapping the RSI. Here we were oversold. Next time we tapped it, we went lower. So you could have got Doge for 6 instead of 650. Not that like would have made a lot of difference. SHIB. There's other charts where it's reflected way more that way. Yeah, for example here, oversold in the RSI. Look at that. You could have got it for nearly half the price. SHIB, very similar to Doge. And still above the 618, so still technically bullish. However, if it came down to this level where it's around 7.6, it might be a time to buy if you like SHIB. Let's take a look at AVAX. Oop, I think I clicked the wrong one. Looks the same. Great. So AVAX, as you can see, the RSI is coming down. The price was as high as 50, got down to 36. If we were to break down with Bitcoin's price, and Bitcoin were to go somewhere around 37, I could see AVAX get to this level. As you can see, there's a lot of support here. We've hit this quite a bit. If we were to draw a fib from the low to the high, I am curious if that would reflect anything. So yeah, it's between the 618, more towards the 786. So if we got to that 17 range for AVAX, that would be a solid time to get in. Link, love Link, one of my favorite cryptos. Not sure it's the same as. Okay, so Link, it's been staying up here, even though the RSI is getting lower. So I think Link is a strong altcoin for the next 4-year cycle, and it's waiting to see if Bitcoin is going to have a strong macro move in either direction. It's holding its price. It's being very disciplined. Should Bitcoin bounce and go up to the 50 to 52 range, I would not doubt if Link also went higher, maybe even as high as somewhere like $32. So I could see a 2x if Bitcoin was to do a bounce. If Bitcoin was to come down, because it's kind of made this arc shape, this macro arc shape, if Bitcoin were to do something like this, go back down to the 27,000 range, I could see Link coming back down to the $8 level. Anything around $8 to $9 I would really like for Link. Not that it has to get there, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on. Litecoin. So Litecoin, I've talked about how it's interesting that it's been in this wedge formation. A lot of people were not happy with Litecoin because Bitcoin last mega bull run did a 20x and this one did around a 3.5x. It is hovering around this ascending trend line. So maybe as a safer hedge in crypto, if we get around this trend line again, somewhere in the 65 range, not the worst time to buy. Is it a bad time to buy right now? Not really. So 65 to 70. If you believe Litecoin could get above 200 again, then shoot. Maybe take a stab at Litecoin. Uniswap. RSI is starting to break down. Price has gone from around 8 to 6.5. Yeah, I want to see what happens when it gets to the oversold region. It looks like, because we're already getting heavy into the oversold region, or starting to trend that way, that if we got oversold, we'd be at the high 5 range. That's why I'd wait for it to double tap to see if it went lower. So you can see here we were oversold. We were at that 5 range. And here, when we hit oversold again, you could have got it cheaper. So this is one where if the first time it's oversold, it's around here, I would wait for the second time and see if it got down further. Not that it has to. It could be oversold again and even move higher, depending on what Bitcoin does. A lot of these things, pretty much everything, follows the macro trend of Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash. Here's our fib within the last year. We're still technically bullish. So, yeah, Bitcoin Cash, I wouldn't be buying it right now. If it did get below the 618, the 181 level, then it would be bearish. So if it did have a bounce, though, around that 181, and you like Bitcoin Cash, that might be a level to consider. If it did break down, then possibly could come down to the lower 100s again. Let's take a look at the rest of the Robinhood coins. ETC, Ethereum Classic. I have a giant fib drawn up on here. What's going on? So yeah, that's just the macro high to low. Macro wise, we're still bearish. As you can see, the RSI has been trending up, but haven't had a breakout in price. So if we go to the last year and draw a fib from the low to the high, try to get that close. We're technically bullish. We've recently shot up. When was this? Okay, that was a week ago. I missed that one. So Ethereum Classic did have a nice jump up here. If it got back down to 618, the 20 level, maybe it'd bounce. If it broke below, then it'd be bearish. And you could argue that maybe it'd go back down to the 16 range, or I like a lot of the support right here. If Ethereum Classic's one you like and it got around the $15 range, that looks like it'd be a good time to buy. If you got in down here, congrats. You have a 2x right now. Let's look at XLM, Stellar Lumens. Which one do we want to pull up here? Maybe this one? Yeah, I've drawn a fib on this one. That's good. So this is just a macro fib. We're going to get rid of that. This is on the weekly RSI. We're still around that 50, so we're chopping right in the middle as far as strength goes. On the daily RSI, we're trending down. So it does look like that we'll hit the oversold regions. If the oversold regions get us back to this price, cool. If it double taps it again, it could possibly go lower. However, let's draw a fib from the low to the high. And what's going on here? We are still below this 618. We got above it. We've gone up to the 0.5, 618. So you could say technically over the last year that we're still bearish on Stellar Lumens. I think it's very possible for it to come back down to here. That, what does it say? Well, let's take a look at the right, to the 0.101. That might be a better time to buy. I'm not a big Stellar Lumens fan. I remember as more talked about in the 2017 bull run. Haven't really heard too much about it for a while. But you never know. If you like stellar lumens, maybe look for that price. XTZ. Let's take a look at. So overall in the yearly, it keeps getting near this overbought area, and it's gone up nicely from 0.63. So it's done a 2x, which is great. If we draw a fib from the low, and we're at a pretty much a yearly high right now, I'm going to ignore that stuff on the left. I mean, that looks great. So good job if you got into XTZ. That one's running up a bit. If we zoom out, you could say it has a bit higher to go. Is this one going to do something like an 8x again? Maybe. But guys, you've heard me say this before, if something's within or close to yearly high, yearly top, I stay away. Time in the market's more important than timing the market. You want to get things when they're hitting the oversold area, when fear's high, and look how many times we hit the oversold. Those would have been good times to get in on XTZ. Two more. We have AVE and comp. So right here, still technically bullish. We're hanging above the 0.5 right now. We're at the 382. Does look like the RSI trend is coming down. So if it did get to the oversold, I think it would probably get back down to this 88 level. And if it double tapped the oversold and went lower, then you'd be looking at the 618, which is 78, 77 as support. If things got really bad for Bitcoin, then you could take a look anything around 64 or lower being a good time to buy and hold for the long term if you like AVE. Again, my rule of thumb, make sure products you invest to are ones you like and use, because crypto is not really products that most of us use, that it's one you like, that you've done your research and you feel real strong about it. Of course, it's also not a bad idea to diversify. If you are trying to increase your value and diversify, these are some indicators you can look at. How oversold is it? And where's the price? So if you're just checking once a week or once a month and you're under the 618, 786, and you like the crypto, heck, maybe think about getting in. You can't make money unless you have skin in the game. So last one, comp. This is the yearly fib here. So right between the 0.5 and the 382, we've been bouncing up nicely off the 618. And I know I have this macro fib, which doesn't even matter. It's really, nothing's happened. That can show you levels that it can get to during a mega bull run. Let's widen this out here so it looks a little prettier. So yeah, we've been bouncing between the 382 and the 618. If it gets below the 618, it'd be bearish, and you could take a look at prices possibly touching this 36 range. So if you like comp, there would have been many great opportunities to get it in back here, especially when it's oversold. It does look like we're possibly going to be trending there on the daily RSI. We did get under 50, and if we're rejected right around here, around this 56 level, then maybe we come down here. I'm willing to bet if it did get oversold, it'd be here first. Either it's going to bounce off that 618 and then go up higher, depending on what Bitcoin and crypto is doing overall. Typically, if things were very bearish, would not surprise me to see it come down here. And if you like comp, not a bad time to buy. So that's going to wrap it up for the Robinhood coins. If you want a little bit more in-depth analysis on some of those more popular coins like ETH, DOGE, SHIB, AVAX, Link, Litecoin, Uni, or Bitcoin Cash, watch my Coinbase video. I talk maybe a little bit more about some of those. Remember, guys, none of this financial advice is just for education purposes only. Try to increase your time in the market instead of timing the market, chasing hypes and pumps. Good way to get wrecked. And we're trying to use psychology and some, I guess you could say, contrarian psychology to find more value in the market. So when things are getting fearful down here under that 30 level or to the 30 level. Last year, we've been very bullish. We've been slowly climbing up. We haven't gotten under that 30 level. So if we do, check the price action. It may be good times to buy. So we're trying to increase our time in the market, see when things are fearful, see when things are double tapping the oversold area, the R side. Make sure it's a crypto you like, and make your own financial choices. Don't just decide whether or not to invest based off what someone says on YouTube. Here, guys, I'm just showing you some quick ways you can look at whether or not to buy or sell. There are so many tools you can use on TradingView to show you many more options, areas, or indicators of when it might be a good time to buy or sell. So find yourself some good indicators. Watch many videos on TradingView indicators. Like this one, for example, is giving us a macro sell signal, which is the first time I'm noticing that. We haven't had anything on the weekly as far as this indicator for buying or selling, and it's funny that now when I was just playing around talking, all of a sudden I noticed we have a weekly sell signal. So are we going to come back down a bit? We'll see. Contrarian view, it can just chop up and down. But if it is a strong signal, look what can happen. It can go up big. So indicators are one thing. They're not the Bible, though. They're not saying, hey, this is what absolutely is going to happen. Don't try to get too married to predictions. Just try and increase your knowledge and make a plan. Make a plan for when you want to invest. And if the market meets your conditions of your plan and you have extra money, it's up to you to pull the trigger and take those chances. So hope you enjoyed this video. I'll try to put out Robinhood and Coinbase altcoin videos once or twice a month. It's cool to see how they act. As you can see, there's some of them that ran and some of them that have been doing nothing, which is pretty much the story right now. Maybe a month from now when we do these videos again, some of them will be coming down a bit. Who knows? So enjoy your Monday, guys. Have a good week. Take care.